Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Something is happening in Australia, and I think this is of relevance to the whole world. Everyone should be looking at what's going on and not ignoring what's happening. Australia, for a long time, has been used as a bit of a petri dish, as a bit of a testing ground for what I think the upcoming global reset, global revolution, where we're going to end up seeing a one world government. We're going to end up seeing the one world currency, trading system, financial system brought in. The beast system that's described in the Bible is going to be brought in. I think Australia has been used for quite a while as a testing ground for the financial system and for the one world government. It's been used as a testing ground for these things. And you're saying, Jay, come on, COVID's over. We're all free again. There's nothing to worry about. Nothing happening in Australia. Everything is good. Before I get into the story that I want to talk about, I'll just remind you. Now, people have spoken about this for a long time. A long, 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 long time. I heard the stories when I was a kid thinking, I've got no idea how this is going to happen. How could it possibly happen? You had all these different theories. But in reality, 20 years ago, in the year 2000, it was still extremely hard to imagine how you could have such total control on a population, on everyone. Why I'm saying all this? Okay, Revelation chapter 13, and a lot of people have spoken about this, especially when this section, these couple of verses here, he says, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one, highlights no one, may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, it was always hard to imagine, hard to really wrap your head around how no one will be able to buy or sell, how you can place this kind of restrictions on people, have that kind of control on people, that no one will be able to buy or sell anything unless you go out and show this specific mark on your body, forcing everyone to have a mark. And you sit there going, how? I honestly have found it hard over the last, up until probably only a few years ago, how you can enforce this kind of, how you can demand this kind of worship, this kind of control, and people cannot buy anything. And then this story came up. Now, it's been happening here in Australia for a while. We've seen it. I've spoken about it, saying, hey, this is going to happen. This is what they're bringing in. The reason why we're toying around with this notion of getting rid of cash, we're toying around with cryptocurrencies or, central digital bank currencies and all this kind of thing. It's happening in Europe at the moment. The reason why they've been testing it out in so many places in Australia, because they're going to bring it in globally, and they're going to have such control. They will be able to tell you, you cannot buy. We're going to control your money. If you don't tell us this information, well, then we're going to cut your access off to your bank. If you don't do this, we're going to cut your access for that. We're going to restrict you. We've seen it happening in China years ago, where they brought in the surveillance system where they could say, hey, you are not being a good little citizen, a good little Communist Party supporter. Thus, we're going to restrict you. You can only buy in this little area. You can't catch a plane. You can't get on a train. You're restricted to living within like a 10-kilometer radius. And, you think, well, that's China. It is coming. It is happening, coming to Australia. So this chap here, Louis Christopher, what I have just gone through this morning with CBA, that's Commonwealth Bank of Australia, is disgusting, absolute despicable Orwellian stuff driven by AUSTRAC. Just out of the blue, the bank sent me the enclosed email and demanded to know how I have built up my wealth, Why have I made cash withdrawals? If I am holding cash at home, why? Why are you holding cash at home? Not, hey, it's your money, you can do what you want. Why are you holding cash at home? And why did I make certain transactions to third parties? I called the bank and it was true. They were going to suspend all my accounts this week if I didn't tell them the answers to the above questions. And they said Austrac gave them the authority to do that. Now I'm just going to bring up the second page of what he's posted up here. So it says, specifically, actually, I will go back to the first one straight up. So, dear Louis, we wrote to you on the 4th of April 2025 requesting updating personal information. However, we have not yet received this information and or documentation. If you have recently responded to our earlier request, then please ignore this message. Why update my details? All banks and financial institutions operating in Australia are required by law, everyone here in Australia, to adhere to the same know your customer requirements, which includes ensuring that customers' personal details are up to date and understanding their source of funds and source of wealth and other required information. You will need to provide information and or documentation including but not limited to the following. Did you read? Did you hear what I just said? The know your customer requirements, ensuring that customers' personal details are up to date and understanding their source of funds and source of wealth. They need to know, apparently. They have to know. So you have to require the further information, details relating to your source of funds, detail relating to your source of wealth, confirmation of your date of birth, full name, other names known by, and your residential address, confirmation of your current occupation and or your current employer, recollection of your identification documents. What happens if I don't update my details? And it's important that your details are updated within the next 7 calendar days, or we may discontinue. We may discontinue, restrict, or limit access to your accounts. That's your money. Your money. They're going to restrict it and to your accounts and or accounts you operate until the requested information is provided. Specifically, we may remove your ability to use and access your accounts that you operate. Highlighted here, remove your ability to access accounts you operate. Remove your ability to use any linked cards, including at ATMs, point of sale. Point of sale. You go up, you want to tap your card. Nope, not no more. Remove your ability to view and access your accounts and or accounts you operate on NetBank, Combank, and the Comlink, Combiz, and the Combank app. Stop any scheduled transactions, direct debits, direct credits, or regular payments. This will mean that all payments coming to and from your accounts and or accounts you operate will be stopped, which may have other flow-on consequences. So Louis went to the media. It was reported about in other media outlets. So on the Daily Mail, UK, Commonwealth Bank threatens to close long-time customers' accounts over little-known rule. Also, Sky News reported about it, spoke about it here. We've got SQM Research Managing Director Louis Christopher has criticised Combank after it threatened to shut off his accounts unless he complied with Orwellian requests about his financial information. So he's taken to social media on Tuesday to express his disgust with an email sent to him by the Commonwealth Bank, why he had made cash withdrawals and whether he kept any cash at home. CBA said his accounts would be suspended. This is a security risk for me and my family, Mr. Christopher told Sky News Australia. Effectively, I felt like I had a gun to my head. If I didn't answer these questions correctly, I've had thousands of responses of people who have had their accounts frozen over this. So let's just check out this video that came up on Sky News explaining how the Commonwealth Bank is able to do this.
Now, look, I want to bring you a truly astonishing story. I think everybody understands the evils of money laundering and that banks, casinos and others need to do better to ensure they're not abetting that money laundering. The question is whether it's just simply gone too far. Now, someone we all know well on this program is the housing researcher and commentator Louis Christopher from SQM Research. He posted on social media last night that the Commonwealth Bank had threatened to suspend his accounts unless he answered these questions. How did he build his wealth? Why has he made cash withdrawals? Is he holding cash at home? And why did he make certain transactions to third parties? Louis Christopher is with me now to explain all this. Louis, many thanks for your time.
G'day, Ross.
Were you surprised, at the least, to have your bank asking you these questions?
Absolutely, I was surprised. I first thought when I received the email, it was spam. You know, every day everybody's getting threats galore through spam. But when I noticed that there was no link in the email, I thought it could be real. And I called the bank on a separate number and they verified that, yes, they would suspend all my personal accounts, including my super,
yes,
and I wouldn't have access to the ATM.
So we're seeing this here on the screen now. All payments coming to and from your account and or accounts you operate will be stopped. We may also be unable to provide further products.
That is correct.
Now, everybody's going to ask, had you done anything in the main that might have been deemed by the bank to be suspicious?
No, they actually told me, actually today, that this was not triggered by a particular activity of mine. It was just the CBA requiring, as per AUSTRAC, to have their records updated on me. And I was fine to give them, for example, my home address, what my driver's license number
but
is.
Of course, but you do that when you open an account anyway.
Correct. But when they went into demanding to know what I'm doing with cash, have I got cash at home?
Have you got cash at home? Why
like everybody else has a bit of cash at home.
That's right.
And then to ask why I've got cash at home.
Yes.
Like, hang on.
It seems bizarre.
And this is a security risk for me and my family.
Of course. So, but we all recognise that banks have been sued, billions of dollars from the anti-money laundering agency AUSTRAC. Now, to be fair, what we did today, and just to explain this, what we did is we went to both AUSTRAC and the Commonwealth Bank. Let's go first off to the Commonwealth Bank and let's show you what they said as they were doing all of this. So this is the statement from the Commonwealth Bank. We are required to manage our customers' accounts in line with the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act 2006, which sets out that all banks operating in Australia, and then it goes on, are required to collect, verify and maintain customer identification information. All right, so Louis, in your opinion, did the Commonwealth Bank go beyond just simply asking for your customer identification information?
Absolutely, they did. To ask how I made my wealth, well, everybody knows that. SQM Research has been a business of mine for many years now.
Right.
Then to ask if I've got cash at home.
That's an odd one. I don't kind of get that as to why they would ask.
It's weird.
It's not like you're going for a loan from the bank. So you're not seeking finance from the bank, so they're trying to establish your assets, which they might do. But in this case, for an anti-terrorism financing, money laundering thing, that doesn't sound like it's particularly straight.
Yeah,
but then the final part about this to me, the threat to close your accounts or suspend your accounts.
Absolutely. The threat, so they confirmed they would close my accounts unless I cooperated, and they would do that within 7 days.
Within 7 days?
Yep.
So they're just going to close your access to your accounts, your cash, within 7 days?
Yeah. So, effectively I felt like I had a gun held to my head if I didn't answer these questions correctly.
All right. So then we went to AUSTRAC. So this is the agency that's responsible, because we thought this might have been this. This is what AUSTRAC's told us. AUSTRAC does not require banks to deny services, freeze or close customer accounts. Banks need to know the money laundering risks posed by the services they provide. But get that, AUSTRAC does not. Customers and the customers they provide them to, and the processes to manage those risks. Know your customer or customer due diligence is an important control of money laundering risk. So this is way beyond know your customer, isn't it, though?
Well, I think perhaps this is where the banks are having different interpretations.
That's probably it. Oh, can we bring up that first graphic again? I want to have a look at that again, because the first part of it, to me, is the telling part of it, of the AUSTRAC statement. I think that's the telling part. And that is that AUSTRAC does not require a bank to actually close or suspend or freeze customer accounts. So that's the absolute key. So the interpretation of banks, quite clearly, is not what AUSTRAC is directing them to do.
Yet the banks are doing that.
Yes.
I put this online on social media, as you mentioned before, and I've had thousands of responses, messages, public responses of people who have had their accounts frozen over this.
This is dangerous. This is taking us to truly an Orwellian system. An Orwellian system. If you cannot bury your head in the sand and think that this will not affect you. All these people think, well, you know, I follow all the rules. I do everything. If you've got what I used to hate when I was in the police is when police officers would go up. You'd go to a motorist, someone driving the vehicle, and they'd start questioning them, and then they'd want to have a look through the car or something like that, and then they say, well, if you've got nothing to hide, you won't mind if I look through the car. And I sit there going, well, that's just lazy. For one, it's lazy policing. But that kind of excuse, forcing people, well, if you've got nothing, you're trying to guilt them into doing what you want. You know, if you're a good person, well, no, it's just someone who wants to have a bit of privacy in their lives, doesn't want a stranger rifling through all their goods, rifling through their car without a reasonable, lawful suspicion of doing something illegal. So if you think that this is not going to affect you because you do the right thing, go back and listen to what he just said. Now, the banks don't have to. Going by that statement that they brought up then, the banks don't have to do this. But the problem is they have the ability to do it. And at the moment, it says AUSTRAC don't require it. But what happens when they absolutely do require it? And besides that, like I said, the banks have the ability to do any of these things. This is the problem we have when we have a cashless society. So the Bible said these things I believe will come true. We can see these things lining up. It's going to happen. You need to put your faith in God, your trust in God. Don't believe the lies when they tell you, hey, we're bringing in all these things and it's for your safety. It's so that we can stop money laundering, anti-terrorism. Really? How many people are involved? I always thought it was strange that, the government are the ones that allow casinos. It's not very hard to prove that casinos are used for money laundering. Not very difficult at all. And it was already known. It was a well-known fact way before, here in Australia, well-known fact way before we had casinos that gambling and casinos specifically are used for money laundering. But now the excuse that, we've got to stop money laundering. All these people are doing all these things. Anti-terrorism. It's for your safety. Make sure you're not doing the wrong thing. But the governments are the ones that allowed these big casinos in. The governments are the ones that brought in organized gambling. They're overseeing it. They orchestrated all of this, and then they say, we're going to fix it. We caused the problem, now we're going to fix it. They're not fixing it. They have orchestrated this. This is their intention, to be able to control and make sure you cannot buy or sell, and make sure they control all of the money, all of the goods, and to bring in the beast financial system. This is all my opinion. Please let me know what you think. I'm j-fallon. Do not ignore the warning. Do not ignore what's coming. Do not bury your head in the sand. I'm j-fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. And nothing's gonna just focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize. Got my eye on the prize. And tears